Hello, and you are looking live. Morgantown, West Virginia. Batcats somehow, some way, got it done today. Kentucky 6, Wake Forest 5. Here in a beautiful ballpark, a beautiful day in West Virginia. Adam Luckett here with you as always with Jeff Drummond, and a wild baseball game. Somehow, some way, Kentucky found a way, Jeff. And what were you thinking there? You know, when they pulled Jackson Jelkin going into the seventh, and you're just like, can they get these 9 outs? They found a way to get the 9 outs. They found a way to get a run. Kind of things they haven't really done all year. Felt like, Jeff, they found a way to do them today here in Morgantown.
Yeah, I think everybody had that same kind of anxiety about needing 9 outs. Going into today, you would have liked to have seen Jelkin get you through 7. And then 6 sounds a lot more manageable than 9. But, to hold Wake Forest at bay for the most part. I know they came back and tied it, but all their damage was done basically with nobody on base. So that was kind of the secret.
Yes.
In this. You give up 3 home runs, usually that's bad news. But they produced only 4 runs off those. But kind of surprised the way it ended with Susie as the last guy. I don't know if that was part of a plan. Maybe you've talked to Nick a little bit more about this, but it's interesting. Maybe that has to do with some strategy for Saturday.
Yeah, he addressed that in the press conference, and we'll go over that here later. We'll have that up on KSR. But basically, he said their game plan from the beginning was we like the matchups with Niall Adcock and Susie. I do wonder if maybe at the bottom of the order they just kind of like the lefty matchups that they had with, because it was a 6, 7, 8 hitters for Wake Forest there in the 9th when they put Susie in. And Minji, on credit, hit his fastball placement, said he was hitting both sides of the plate. He was doing what he needed to do for them. So really with Adcock, Dalton Wentz, who's a top 100 prospect in Keith Law's latest rankings, he's got 18 home runs now. He just kind of muscles that one over the Kentucky bullpen. But this Wake Forest lineup, it's the best lineup in this regional. They're going to score runs. They've done it really all year. The top 5 in the lineup is really, really dangerous, explosive. They got speed, and they've got a lot of power. You're going to give up home runs to a team like that. Where Kentucky really, I think, Jeff, we're going to get into Jace Tarnish, the big plays he made, Braxton Van Clee's big at-bats. I think Carson Hansen had some big ABs in this game. But I think they ultimately won this game because, the walks. Like, how many times have we seen walks haunt. And Kentucky in this game, their pitching staff handed out 0 walks, 0 hit by pitches. There hasn't been many games against good competition where we've seen that. And meanwhile, Wake Forest, the one aspect that I was pointing out before the game is, Lavonis is this great pitcher, and he was awesome today, but they have issues with walks. Really a walk rate a lot higher than Kentucky's, and that jumped out on paper to me when you were looking at this matchup, and that ultimately doomed them. Their head coach Tom Walter talked about that in the press conference, how he felt like the game got away from them because of the free passes. And Kentucky, I think, ultimately won this game at the end of the day because you look in that walks column, Kentucky's pitching staff 0, Wake Forest pitching staff 5, and they also had, I think, 2 or 3 hit by pitches. So Kentucky ultimately
pitches and the wild pitches. That's another aspect for Kentucky.
2 runs on wild pitches. Yeah.
And Achilles' heel for Kentucky late in the season has been giving up all these runs on the ways you said with the free passes, but also the wild pitches. Kentucky had a 0 in that column. Kentucky was not charged with an error. I know there were a couple of balls that we think they probably should have fielded early in the game, but you're talking about zeros across the board in all the key areas that you break down when it comes to making a team earn it. You put up zeros there, you've got a chance. And someone shared a stat where when Kentucky's error free, they've got an incredible record this season. I think it's 15-4, something like that. So playing clean was huge today.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt like they could have made some plays on a couple balls there. I think one of those middle innings were Wake Forest. I think it was a 2-run home run inning. But another key part of this game, Jeff, 2 instances. Jackson Jelkin had runners on the corners. He gets the double play in the first frame, and then he gets, I think, consecutive Ks. I believe in the other big inning they got against him. It wasn't Jelkins. I don't think he didn't have his best stuff. Wake was getting a lot of contact against him, but he found a way to kind of grind through what I thought was like a workman-like 6 innings. Like he really had to grind and get those 18 outs and ultimately hung in there. And then Kentucky's able to have that big inning. They're able to play from ahead, and that was enough for them to get the win. So really a team, I think a true team victory here for Kentucky today. You get the good start from Jelkin, you get the bullpen, you get solid defense. Caden Cloud, the first run comes, he gets a double into the right center field gap. You're able to score him, and then you get the big frame where you're working walks, working hit by pitches. And to me, Jeff, that was an inning that when Nick Mingione lays down to go to sleep in August after he's built the roster, he dreams about having innings like that in big games. This is how I want Kentucky baseball to look, and it looked like that, right? They had one hit but scored 5 runs. Free passes. You've got the Braxton Van Cleve just sneaks one over the third baseman's head for 2 RBI single. Carson Hansen sac fly grinds an AB, and then I believe they score. Carson Hansen comes around to scores on a wild pitch, and then a wild pitch Jay Starnish there in the ninth. That's Kentucky baseball. When they're winning, that's what it looks like a lot of times.
Yeah, and speaking to the game-winning run in the ninth, I had written about this last night when I was talking about some kind of non-stars, so to speak, that I thought really had to step up big. One of mine was Jay Starnish. Even though you could argue he's a star, he's just kind of lesser known. Statistically, he is a star, but he doesn't get as much talk and publicity as some of his other teammates. When he gets on base, it's almost like an extra base hit or a triple with his running. So when he slapped the ball into right field and got that hit, I said, man, this is basically, you're going to have him on third now. And anything can happen at that point, as we've seen. And, I felt good for him because he was having a rough day. He struggled a little bit late in the season. He was 0 for 4 when he got up there, but terrific at bat to get himself on base, and the magic happens once he's on first.
He had a tough game against Vanderbilt. I believe 0 for 4, just didn't look himself, I thought, in the box in Hoover. But I thought he had some good ABs today, and finally got that single. And Mingione credited him after the game. That first at bat, kind of setting the tone, working the count, fouling some balls off. Yeah. That was huge today. Lavonis, they had to pull him after 5 because the pitch count just got up there. Kentucky kind of did just enough. That put them in position to go have a chance to win the game, I think, later. And Jelkin just kind of hanging in there even without his best stuff, I think this was big.
First time in a long time, Nick or Adam, that we have seen Kentucky really play that way against the starting pitcher. Their walks have been down this season. They haven't been able to play the way Men's usually likes to play. I think that was big, and to force that pitch count to, I think it was 96 at the end of that, and to get him out after 5, that was just monumental. And if they can keep that kind of game plan of attack throughout the remainder of their stay in the tournament, it bodes well for them. That's Kentucky baseball under Mingione.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about, because one of the stories of this game, Jeff, there's a lot of stories I think we can unpack from this. One of the stories is just Braxton Van Cleve coming back after, having surgery face surgery. And Kentucky's Batman comes up huge with that 2 out, or not 2 out, the bases loaded, single down the left side, just gets over and ties the baseball game there in the 6th inning. And from that point on, Kentucky never trailed after his hit there. We talked to him in the press conference room here at Kendrick Family Ballpark, and basically he said when he first goes to the hospital after the Arkansas collision, the doctors tell him he's out 6 to 8 weeks. So he's really upset he's not going to play. So then they go ahead and have the surgery. I believe he had it earlier this week. Has the surgery, and the doctors get out of surgery. And it's like, hey man, you could probably play this week. We get a mask on you, hit with a cage. You could probably play this week. So he was like, heck yeah, giddy up. Let's go. Let's play this week. So Kentucky has him in the lineup. And then he has the big at bat. And then Jace Tarnish credited him on the big catch. He said, I take off. I know the ball's going to be at the wall. I know it's going to be at the track, but you never know. And I think BVC did a really good job of just giving me my warning call, letting me know how much room I had to be able to make the catch. So he got credited for that, and then just has the big AB there, and then he had I thought a productive at bat later that helped move a runner over. I believe it was. I can't believe it. Remember, if it was a Tarnish or if it was Ethan. I think it was Ethan Hindle was able to the sack fly to give Kentucky a chance to score a run there later in the ball game. So great credit there for Van Cleve. He had a really, really big performance. Had a big moment here. And Kentucky needed him because they needed some offense today. Because Lawrence goes out. Tarnish was hitless till the end. Tyler Bell did not have one of his best games. 3 strikeouts, hit by pitch. But a big moment for Van Cleve, and kind of set the stage for Kentucky to have the big moment with Tarnish at the end, and the big moment for Niall Adcock having a nice performance, and Jackson Susie getting a save. So the freshman really picked him up here, and we've just seen, Jeff, this kid, he's got some stuff. He looks like he could be a really big piece for Kentucky moving forward, but he's a big piece right now, and having him back in the lineup today, I think obviously it made an impact for this team.
Yeah, whatever they put into his face, I don't know if it was some of that Wolverine stuff or whatever.
What did Ray Lewis get? What did he give you, the deer tranquilizer? Did he get on the Ray Lewis lotion?
Yeah, but maybe give some to Luke Lawrence now. He might need a little bit of that magic to get back out there after taking him off the knee. But he's a tough guy, and hopefully those X-rays will prove to be negative. And I think if he's able to get out there, he will. And he's a huge part of what they're doing moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to kind of pivot to what's going to happen next. To me, I think like any path for this team to win this regional, you had to win today. I felt like you just had to. Like if you're going to win 3 games, you're going to need one win to be one when Jelkin's pitching. You just had to win this game. And so I think it was huge for them to get this first one. And now we get to see what happens in West Virginia, Binghamton. West Virginia is obviously the heavy favorite. You could be playing in a huge crowd, a huge part at a 5 p.m. start, nighttime. The place will be on fire for if West Virginia is in that game. But they set themselves up to be in a big spot and have a chance to win this game. And I think they're weirdly in position where some of their big guys did not play all that great today, right? Like Tyler Bell didn't have a great game. Tarnish didn't get going until the end. We'll see with Lawrence, but I think they're in position to kind of have a bigger offensive performance. We didn't see really too many hard hit balls from Kentucky today. I think we've got a chance to see some of those later, and the pitching's in a pretty good position. So overall, they're in a good spot, I think, leaving today. And this went about it, I think, as well as you could have hoped it, really from a pitching standpoint. We'll see what the deal is with Lawrence on the injury, but from just a pitching standpoint, they're in a good spot right now, and they've got a really good chance, I think, to go and win this now.
Yeah, they've got to be really excited about still having Cleaver, still having Nate Harris, still having Madison, still having Bennett, still having Sams.
Right.
That's
100%.
a lot of good arms. And as we saw with Wake Forest, they had to burn through, some of their better arms today, and it didn't get them anything except that dreaded elimination bracket. It's going to be tough road ahead for those guys.
Right, and they're going to have to. And then, like, if Kentucky were to lose, they're probably going to see Wake Forest, right? The first game Saturday, so they may have burned through some arms there. We'll see how that all plays out. But ultimately, I think, Jeff, just kind of putting a bow on this. This was just a Kentucky baseball win. This is just who this Kentucky team is with Mingione. Wake Forest is a top 20 team. Kentucky's now 7-6 against top 20 teams this season. This is just who they've been. They've played to who they are, and Wake Forest, surprisingly, is now, I believe, 2-14 this season against top 30 competition. So they've struggled against these type of teams. That all played out today. Kentucky checked the boxes they needed to check, and now they're set up to have a chance to go win this regional, and now they're 4-1 in NCAA tournaments openers under Nick Mingione. They typically play well here. They even played well, I thought, last year in a tough loss to West Virginia, and now they're positioned to go win another regional.
Yeah, I think Big Blue Nation needed this today too. There was some anxiety early in that game when the Cats got behind. Anxiety's high to begin with across the board with UK sports, but they needed something good to happen. And I felt like stepping in and reminding folks a couple of times, hey, baseball doesn't have a clock. We don't have to panic when it's 1-0 or 3-0. And
3-1 or even 3-1. Yeah.
When they got that momentum going, and you felt the swing, especially when they forced Livonis out of the game, it was impressive to see the Cats jump all over that opportunity and take advantage of it. And I think they take a ton of momentum into this next game.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention our good friend Andy Ludicky, sponsoring our baseball coverage this year. He's a big baseball fan, and he's here to help. He's sick of your job, ready to leave the corporate race, want to diversify, build wealth, or leave a legacy. Andy is a franchise consultant as well as franchise owner, helps people find franchises that fit their skill sets, passions, financial requirements. His service are 100% free, and he's here to help if you have any questions. Head to myperfectfranchise.net or reach Andy directly at 404-973-9901. We'll have much more coverage here on KSR from me and Jeff Drummond throughout the night, throughout the day. But let's get into what we know. We know Kentucky's moving on. We know Kentucky's playing at 5 p.m. on Saturday. We don't know the television coverage for that yet. That'll be released later tonight once the schedules get finalized here in the regional. But we know Kentucky's got Nate Harris and Ben Cleaver available. One of them will likely be starting tomorrow, and they've got some of their top bullpen arms ready to go, as we mentioned, Jack Bennett, Jack Sams. And we'll see how it plays out. But Kentucky will play the winner of West Virginia Binghamton. They're about to get started here in 20 minutes here at the ballpark. West Virginia Binghamton's on ESPN Plus if you want to check out Kentucky's new competition. But Kentucky just finds a way, and now they're in position to make some more noise in this regional. For Adam Luckett, this is Jeff Drummond. We'll see you all tomorrow at night. Might be in the same tent at the same park bench here at the ballpark. Another KSR Rapid Reaction is in the books. We'll see y'all later.